for, I guess it's still July. Yes. So happens to be my cousin's birthday today, or two of my cousins actually.
Wow, it's my sister's birthday.
Oh, cool. Cool. So very awesome. And Courtney, we enjoyed talking about ice machines last month.
I know.
That was so much fun.
I feel like I want to parlay my ice machine like people do the real estate business, and I have to learn how to do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's there's definitely a lot to learn, I would imagine, because you were talking about how you're having trouble getting property for it last time. So
Yeah,
has anything changed in the last month?
I spoke to a gentleman who owns a liquor store, or newly, but he doesn't own the land. But he said the land's owned by some 90-year-old. And I spoke to him, and he was going to have someone from Kansas City who's involved in their business call me. And then he threw a monkey wrench in. He was at the end of this hour conversation. He's like, "Oh, we want to put in a drive-through." And I was like, well, that kind of, with cars and moving parts, that changes the whole landscape of your lot.
Yeah. Huh.
And I was like, well, I don't know if it'll work out then with that.
Yeah.
And then I have found a lot of property, which would be great for the business, but the price point is just so off. I mean, you can't buy land for $500,000 and put this machine down. It just doesn't financially make sense.
Yeah. Yeah. That's
so
interesting.
Yeah, well, I guess you'll never pay the land off is how I think about it.
I mean, because you don't need that much property. You don't need that much space. So
you need like 500 square feet.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, it's just really weird. And then I spoke to a guy who's got a small lot. It's bigger than what we need. But the city, he parks all his paving equipment on it. And the city just told him that he's not zoned for that. And he has to move all his stuff. Okay. So he's selling a small commercial lot. And his price point's like 200. And that's still over what we would spend. Yeah. I ended up getting my commercial lot that I have in Colorado Springs, which was a good deal. It was a corner lot on a main intersection. It was only 5,000 square feet. It was super small for about 120. So that was at a price point that I was like, oh, we can do this. Because if I pay $1,000 a month rent for 15 years, well, I paid the land off, Yeah. Yeah. So that was a price point where I was like, oh, we could, we can do this. But well, I can't get anything that I want.
Yeah, it's tough. I mean, because you're in a place that there's just a lot of demand for space,
There is, but it's really interesting. The entire market, and even the rental market, which somebody told me, it's all owned by old people. Oh yeah. It's all owned by people in their 80s and 90s. And the city is getting very angry at them. Because they literally, they're leaving the rentals unrented. The housing is half vacant. And the city is just angry. They're like about to step in and really hold these landlords and these people that are owning this land like feet to the fire. Yeah.
And it's curious how they do that too. Cause there is power in land ownership. So, but hey, Janelle. Hey, Jeff.
Hi.
Welcome both of you to the meetup here. So
thank you. Glad to be here.
Yeah. Good to see you and good to be seen. So
yes. Any day I wake up is a good day.
Yeah. That's true. Yeah. So well, I think we've got several people in the room that may not know each other. So I'll we'll do a little round robin here. I'll start off. My name's Bobby. I am a retired nurse anesthetist turned apartment investor. And so I hold these monthly meetups so that people can meet each other, network, find out what other people are into and just talk about multifamily investing. And obviously, with Courtney talking about her ice machines, we talk about all kinds of different types of alternative investing as well. So But yeah, so Ethan, you want to start us off maybe?
Sure. I'm Ethan Gao. I'm a corporate attorney and financial advisor in Houston, Texas. I've done about 400 single family transactions over the past 7 years. I got into multifamily and commercial about a year and a half ago. I've done a dozen deals or so. I really like being a KP or loan guarantor on deals. Some of those deals I've also done earnest money, and recently I've been making bridge loans, gap funding on some deals that were just missing the last 20% of the fundraise. So I helped sponsors close their deals, and then they just have to raise more money post closing to pay me back. But at least it gets their deal closed on time.
Awesome, man. Yeah, and we're working together on a drug rehabilitation center deal in North Carolina. So it's been fun. Deal? Yeah. So Ethan's KP on that deal.
Yep, I had to sign on that $2 million seller loan.
Yep. So yeah, so Janelle, you want to go next?
Sure. I'm Janelle York. I am in Minneapolis, Minnesota. I am currently I'm a passive investor in two deals, 2 apartment complexes, one in Houston, one in Tallahassee, looking for more passive opportunities in other asset classes as well, self-storage, RV parks, hospitality, and I'm also looking for multifamily opportunities, and am interested in joint ventures, GP positions, but I'm particularly interested in passive opportunities right now. So I'm glad to be here. Thank you. I'm glad to be with all you phenomenal human beings. So I'll pass it to the next person.
Awesome. Let's see, Jeff.
Hi, my name is Jeff Bishop. I'm the corporate attorney in Winston-Salem, North Carolina. I'm kind of a newbie in this field. Meetup suggested it as a meeting today. I thought, well, I should learn more about this. So here I am.
Cool. Yeah, I typically am living in Winston-Salem, but I'm down here in Florida with my mom for right now, visiting. So yeah, but cool, man. Well, good to meet you. Glad to have you here.
Thank you.
So let's see, Courtney.
So I am Courtney Beck, and I live in Colorado Springs, but I'm currently in Chicago working. I am a nurse anesthetist, which is how I connected through this. I actually own 2 ice machines, 2 of those twice the ice machines in Colorado Springs. And, I can't decide if real estate should be the thing or expanding this business and parlaying it into something in Colorado Springs. So that's where I'm at.
Yet to be determined.
Courtney, what's your last name?
Beck, B-E-C-K. Say like the beer, no S.
There you go. All right, Patrick, you're up, buddy.
Hey, hi everybody. I'm Patrick Francis. I'm a real estate investor, and I also work for the United States Postal Service. I've been investing probably now for about 6 months, working with Mike Morowski at the Core Intentions to master my underwriting.
Yeah.
I did the re-mentor with David Lindahl for a little bit. So I'm just trying to really network, meet other investors like myself, get on the go and get in my first deal.
Awesome, man. Well, welcome. Glad to have you here.
Thank you. And I also seen you on the podcast with Jerome, so that led me here.
Oh yeah.
That was a good podcast. It was very educational.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, Jerome's such a good guy. He reached out and wanted to have me on the podcast. It's like, man, I can't turn him down. So
yeah. He is a good dude.
Yeah, for sure. So well, awesome, man. It's great to have you here, and glad to see you. So
yes, thank you.
All right, and Kevin, you are last but not least.
Hey everybody, I am Kevin and I invest remotely. I am from Trinidad and Tobago. I guess that's a bit confusing. So I am in Trinidad and Tobago and I invest in Georgia and Texas markets. I look for multifamily properties, storage facilities as well. Working on my first syndicated deal in Texas, looking for some other deals, looking to grow portfolio, build relationship, help others with their underwriting because I'm an accountant by profession. So I can assist with that deal analysis. And yeah, that's about me.
Awesome, man.
I may have to drop off for a little bit.
Oh, okay.
I'll be back. Yeah.
Okay. Well, I was going to have you like go into the details of your deal here, you know?
Well, it's
if you could talk anything about it, I don't know if you can.
It's a 506B, so I probably would not be able to.
Yeah, unfortunately. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's a bummer. Yeah, I've got one of those too that I can't really talk much about. So unfortunately, but it's one of those RV park investments.
Right. But you know what? The laws changed in late 2021 where they increased the limit for crowdfunding to 5 million. So now with smaller deals, you could do crowdfunding rather than a 506B, and you could advertise, and once it's less than 5 million, you could advertise and raise that money. So
yeah. So let's talk about that a little bit then, because what are the I guess I'm trying to think of how to phrase this question. What are you forming when you're going to crowdfund like that? Because I mean, that's essentially what we're doing anyway, is crowdfunding. But what is it called when you are going to do that and still be able to advertise? It's not a 506C.
Well, it's not. It's not 506B. It's Reg CF. It's under the same regulation D, but CF instead of 506B or 506C. The details of which I don't have. I'm not an attorney, so I don't have all these things. Yeah. But there are several webinars and different meetups that going to be discussing it now because of that change that took place late last year to increase that limit. So it offers people another opportunity, because previously it was just 1 million and now it's 5 million. So people with smaller deals could crowdfund and advertise and raise the capital that they need. So
fascinating. That's really cool. Yeah.
But I will be back. I'm going to drop off for a little bit.
Okay.
We'll be back in a little bit.
That's cool, man.
All right.
Let's see. Dion, we're just introducing ourselves, and of course you missed everybody's introductions, but that's okay. But if you wouldn't mind just telling us a little bit about yourself.
My name is Dion. I am really just new to Meetup in general, and definitely new to studying multi-tenant apartments and that kind of thing. So yeah, I'm just here to just here to learn. I'm definitely no authority in any circumstance, but I have been studying wholesaling and just any number of things, wholesale and fix and flips and tax liens and all kind of good stuff. So just I'm not as a complete novice. I have studied real estate and I've been a mortgage loan officer before in my past. So I'm just trying to get to a place of passive income, not where I'm at work, but where I'm, of course everybody wants to dream of mighty amounts of massive passive income that creates generational wealth. So I'm just here to learn.
Absolutely, man. Hey, I hear you. That's I think that's a big reason why a lot of us are here, is to just learn how to turn this into something that's more sustainable.
Absolutely.
So yeah, and wholesaling's tough. You can get into it. You can really make good money once you get into it, but it is getting a little bit harder to do because you just don't have as many foreclosures as there used to be. Those numbers have gone down, and the competition for those foreclosures has gone up because there's been more, of a spotlight on those kinds of things. So for sure, it's a little bit more competition out there than there was, 5-6 years ago. And it's the same way in multifamily. That's a lot of multifamily deals. The pricing for them was just phenomenal back in the 2013, 2016 range. And it's still you can still find great deals out there, and you can still find cash flowing deals. But it's just, it takes more due diligence to really find those. And then when you do, you're dealing with more competition because more eyes have been on the multifamily space. So, I'm personally a proponent for all kinds of different types of alternative investing. So, and not just multifamily, although that is the bulk of my portfolio right now. But, I'm looking into self-storage, RV parks, were mentioned, RV parks and of course, mobile home parks are kind of a big thing for people because they don't cost as much money to get into, but you can, control a piece of property and control the lot prices and things like that. So it's, all these different types of investments, obviously they have their different, nuances to them, but, some are more cash flow heavy than others, but, it's fun for me, I think, to explore all these different places that you can go. Senior housing is another one, like there's such a need for senior housing. But that one's kind of a hard niche to kind of break into, when it comes to actually, buying and purchasing, because it is very operationally heavy. You're talking about places that need, healthcare providers and nurses and, all the staff to provide care. So, but then again, and you have to have all your compliance right in order. So there's a real estate component and a healthcare component to it. So it takes a special, it's certainly its own specialty, but yeah. So you said that, you have gotten into it a little bit, into the education bit. Have you invested in any real estate in the past?
I have not.
Okay.
I have not. I own my home, but I have not. I haven't pulled the trigger or anything yet.
Gotcha.
I've experienced, of course, what you said, and those are barriers to entry, for anyone who's trying to break in new. But it's just one of those things where there has to be a deal out there. If not, everybody would not be doing it.
Yeah.
So that's kind of my push.
What I'll say too, I mean, like there have been several people on this program and or on this meetup, and they, I see them in other meetups. So the multifamily space is really, it's kind of a small world, and you get to know people. Right. There are a ton of ways to get education. You can do mentorships and things, like Patrick mentioned earlier. And that's something that can certainly help accelerate that process, but you have to pay for it. That's something, you kind of pay to play in that instance, but it speeds up your process a lot of times. But it's very important to vet the particular program that you're going into, because there are some programs that are just better than others. Now you can get most of the education and things on your own. You don't have to get into these programs in order to get the actual education for, getting into multifamily. There are plenty of books out there about multifamily, and plenty of podcasts. You can find out tons of information for free if you dive into it. And I'm sure that's part of what you're doing. But I have my own information. I have an educational email series that I put out that helps people learn more about, investing in multifamily and alternative assets. But, Janelle is somebody who, has kind of gone through some of this stuff. She's in meetups a lot, and Ethan too. Ethan's in a lot of meetups. There are meetups practically every day, and every evening, just about, that you can spend time at and learn from people who are actually doing it. Myself, I've invested in, I guess it's double digits now for multifamily and alternative investments. So, the way, what I ended up doing was I actually cashed out my retirement accounts, because I used to be, a nurse anesthetist, and I had a decent amount of retirement. But I needed that income now. I needed the money now. And it was in these retirement accounts that you're not supposed to touch. I took the step of cashing those out, paying, the 10% penalty, but then putting them into these passive investments that Janelle has talked about, and they produce passive income, either monthly or quarterly distributions that, we live off of. And so I was able to do that because I was, fortunate enough to have a career field that paid me very well. And I saved, my wife and I both just shoved money into our retirement accounts at a very early age. So, that's something that we were fortunate to be able to do. Not everybody has that option, and I recognize that. So there are, dozens of ways to get into this, like Kevin, who just came back in, he's focused on the underwriting aspect, getting these deals and making the numbers work, or figuring out if they don't work, and if there's something to go after. You've got your people who are your deal finders, and they're the ones who are having the relationships with the brokers, and they're getting these deals that come across their desk, and then they work with an underwriter to see if the numbers work for a deal, but they're the ones who are keeping these interpersonal relationships active, and they're hunting these deals. You have your operations folks who deal with the day-to-day overall operations of a property, and that's different from property management. Property management's obviously a big component of multifamily, but it's something that you have to have somebody who's got the overall business plan of what's going on, and that includes property management under that umbrella. But property management is only one piece of that, because you're, as an operations manager, you're also dealing with the rehab of different parts of the property and things like that. People coming in and out, taking care of the property. So, and then of course you've got your people who are dealing with the banks and the finances, and dealing with the loans and stuff, and people like Ethan, who are a key principal. They come in and they provide some of that collateral for a loan, if you need to have that. So there are a lot of different components to it, and depending on what your skill set is geared towards, you've got a number of windows, or doors that can open for you. So I'm talking a lot here. I'd love for other people to jump in.
One of the things I didn't hear you mention, Bobby, is what Bobby here does is capital raising.
Yeah, I didn't even mention that. You're right.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. So basically, if you can find investors that want to invest in these types of offerings, then you can pool them together and come to an operator and say, hey, look, I've pulled together this amount of money, and I want to bring this capital to your investment. Or you're looking for operators who have deals, and they're looking for capital, because as you can imagine, these are expensive things. And, as Kevin was mentioning earlier, a lot of times you have to raise several $1 million. And so that's something that as a capital raiser, you can help out with, because it's hard to raise money. It's a real challenge. And so if you can do that and you're good at it, then you provide a lot of value to a team. And of course, you can't just be a capital raiser. You have to be involved on the operations side as well in that general partnership. But, that is another component of the general partnership that finds, purchases, manages, and sells a property. So, but I'd be curious to know, Dion, what is your understanding of how a multifamily deal works?
Actually, I don't have a great grasp of how people get into multifamily. I mean, my understanding of it, from in large part is more just, I'm thinking, a management company may have run out of funds, or, they're looking to get out of the area.
Mm-hmm.
Someone comes in with some additional funds and, comes in with a bunch of paint, spackle, upgrades the property, and, raise the rent.
Yeah. I mean, it is kind of like that. What generally we see, I compare it to fix and flipping, regular houses, but just on a bigger scale. When you're hunting for a house that you want to fix up, and flip it, you're looking at, you know, a potentially distressed property, or, you know, maybe it's a property that's just not, you know, they can't keep tenants in it or something. They're not managing it correctly. So, you know, that's something that you look for. Or they're charging, you know, basically, you know, rents that aren't up to market. You know, it's a mom and pop kind of, you know, operation, and, you know, they've got the same tenant that's been there for 10 years and they've never raised the rents or something like that. Okay. So that's kind of what you're looking for on the multifamily side too, you know, because believe it or not, like some of these apartment buildings are owned by, you know, relatively mom and pop operations. It's not these big institutional investors. So now that is becoming less and less as there's been more competition in the space. It is harder to find those kinds of deals where, you know, it's something where it's been, you know, really mismanaged. But that being said, that's kind of what people look for on the multifamily side. So the idea is that you go in, you buy this property at a good price, you know, because that's where you make a lot of your money, is when, you know, how you buy it, what price you buy at. But then you've also done your due diligence, your underwriting properly to say, okay, well, you know, they've got market rents here. The market rent should be here. So we've got a business plan to come in, you know, spruce up the property, you know, whatever it needs. So you got to have capital expenditures for that. And then you're raising the rents, because in commercial real estate, as you know, may or may not know, the price of a property is directly determined by its net operating income. So that's, you know, basically your income minus expenses. And so if you can come in and you can increase your income and decrease some of those expenses, you know, so like, for instance, with some of these properties, you'll come in and the person that owns the property is actually, you know, paying for some of the utilities. Well, those can all be billed back to, you know, the residents. That's something that they can have, that you can have their own meters. They can have that taken care of. That shouldn't be an expense that you have to worry about as an operator, you know, and that's something that you can come in as a new operator and improve right off the bat, is getting, you know, either metered or billing back some of these utilities and getting money back that way. There are all kinds of different ways to make money. You can put, you know, some storage units on a property. You can put covered parking that you charge a little bit extra per month for. All kinds of different things that you can do to increase some of that income, you know, that's coming in. And of course, you know, having those operational efficiencies that decrease your expenses. So the wider you can make that gap, the larger that net operating income becomes. And that directly affects the value of the property. So, but that in short, like, so what you do is you go in, you buy a property, you fix it up, you raise the rents, and then you sell it to the next person who, you know, thinks that they can come in. So there's a lot of, like, you'll do things, you'll operate your, you know, your business plan, but you're maybe not doing everything to fix up a property. You're not making it perfect, because you know that, like, if you want somebody else to purchase it, well, they've got to be able to think that there's a little bit of meat on the bone there too. So now in some of these areas, like, you know, in Phoenix has been wild. You know, you've got multifamily properties that are being turned over in, you know, 18 months, because they'll come in and the prices there are just so astronomical that if you bought something 18 months ago, you can sell it at a tremendous profit. You know, and it's crazy that not every market's like that. But in general, the idea is to double your investors' money over the course of 5 years. That's kind of the baseline. You're trying to get to about that point. So you do that based on two things: the distributions that you're giving out monthly or quarterly, and then the proceeds from the sale. So, you know, the break even for a multifamily property is anywhere from 60 to you know, low 70% occupancy. So as long as you keep your numbers above that, then you're making money, right? And you're producing cash flow, and that cash flow can be given back to investors in the form of distributions. And then, of course, if you do sell a property, you're selling, you know, if you're doing it right, you're selling it at a profit, and then you split those profits with your investors and in whatever fashion it is, underwritten for, to get them their returns. So, you kind of, some deals you might get more of your returns from the cash flow. Some deals you might get more of your returns from the sale. They're all different, but that's kind of the breakdown for it. Does that make sense?
Perfect.
Awesome. So, and people get access to these deals, by getting on newsletters and things like that, getting access to email lists, and seeing them these opportunities that particular operator may have for them. Hey there, Angel. Angel's one of our buddies, so she's an operator as well, so she could explain this very, very well. But yeah, so that's kind of the nitty gritty. I mean, that's just the basic outline of how multifamily properties work, and you'll see that too with other types of real estate as well. Whether it's self-storage or senior housing, stuff like that. So
yeah, it definitely is. As you were explaining it, I could visualize exactly what you were saying, especially considering that we've all seen it. We've all either lived in somewhere or seen a place that the management turns over.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not exactly rocket science for an adult.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
Exactly. So it's based on which side you want to be investing. Like if you've got tons of money and you just want to passively invest, well, then that's great. There's plenty of opportunities for you to put your money into. If you're looking to be more a part of that general partnership team, then you have to kind of train yourself up on whatever type of skills you need, that kind of match what skills you already have, but also what you can bring to a team.
Right.
So and Angel could speak to that, because I mean, her and her husband both do this. Yeah, I'm calling on you, Angel. You just came in. I'm already calling on you. But her and her husband both are into this, and they both have different skill sets and different qualities that they bring to the table that are very different from one another, but are both very valuable. What'd you say?
I said, "Aw."
Oh yeah, well, I gotta brag on you a bit. You're awesome.
No, the past 12 days or 13 days or however the hell many days this has been have been insane.
I want to know how the pool's going.
The pool's fine. The pool opened the Monday, or was it the Monday? The Monday after the July 4th weekend.
Okay.
But we ordered in like a bounce house and a water slide, and we did some other stuff for the residents that day because the pool should have been open before that. So
that's cool.
I've been
happy.
Yeah, no, I've been dealing with what Jason is better suited to be dealing with in the last 13 days. And so, yeah, it's been horrendous.
Yeah, because he's been out of town, right?
Yeah, he got internet access today.
Oh, geez.
And had the nerve to call me before he went through all 58 text messages that I sent him.
Oh, goodness.
Yeah.
But now it's all better, right?
No.
He can just step in and...
No, he actually can't because he's still in New Mexico.
Oh, well.
And I literally have already taken care of everything.
Yeah.
Because I had no choice.
Well, so, and that gives you an indication too, Dion, like sometimes, skills overlap. Sometimes, the stuff that you have to do, it all kind of intertwines, just anything you can do to get it done on the operations side sometimes.
Well, when we lost our property management company, we had to get a new one, and I had to create a new operational account, but we have no money in that operational account. So we can't actually operate our apartments because there's no money there. And then the old property management company was cutting checks and then decided to close the account on a day that he had just written 10 checks.
Oh.
Oy.
And there's like there's over $100,000 in that account, and we have no access to it.
Mm. So you still don't have access?
No.
Oh, geez. I thought you guys, because, well, man, oh man. Any idea how that's going to get resolved yet? No.
Lawsuit maybe. I don't know.
Oh, that's a bummer.
Yeah, our the guy that I hired to clean out the hoarder unit, he got his first check was for 300 because he thought he was going to be able to resell some items, but the mice had destroyed the items, so he couldn't resell anything. So he renegotiated for 500, which was still an amazing deal. And so there was another check created for him for 200. Well, they misspelled his name. So then another one had to be overnighted that had his name correct. That was the day they canceled. They closed the account, so he couldn't cash the check. It gets better though. He uses an online bank. That bank thinks he's trying to either falsify checks or write hot checks. So they flagged
him.
They flagged his account and they locked it down.
Jeez.
So I met him at Sonic tonight and just gave him $200 in cash, but I couldn't get the safe open. So when Jason finally called when he got access, I'm like, and then I hung up on him because I couldn't open the safe even then. And I went back to it and I finally got it to open and I yank it open and I'm looking for cash. I can't find cash in there. I know there's cash in there and I call him back and I'm like, where's the cash?
And then you made time to come on to our meetup. See, this is why I love you. This is why you're awesome.
I need y'all. This is where I can like vent and
right.
You had a whole Monday on a Wednesday.
Yeah, a whole Monday on a Wednesday.
Let me tell you, it's been something every single day since the 11th. So we got a phone call on the 11th that said, hey, we're dissolving in 2 weeks.
The property managers, right?
Yeah, the property management company.
Yeah.
We're dissolving in 2 weeks. Jason left for Philmont on the 14th. I hadn't had any access to him at all since the 17th.
Man. So with the property management, you got, so do you have the new people in with the property management?
I filled out the contract. I had a few red lines. I did some suggested changes. We agreed on it with a few modifications after that. And that was submitted on, God, what day is today? Tuesday.
27th, yeah. Okay.
It was yesterday. It seems like a world ago. But yeah, so I got to do that contract all on my own. And
well, talk about a learning
word to the wise, if you're going to be using Chase, like number one, don't let the property management company have their own account for your property. Or if they do, make sure you have access to the money in that account. They call it a trust account, but it's not really a trust account. Because if I had access to that money, or if Jason could be a signer on that account, this would be a non-issue. We just transfer it all over.
Yeah, yeah.
But we don't have that kind of access.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
I hate Chase.
Well, so the thing with Chase is that there's only one person per branch or per area that is their business relationships person. She's called like the relationships manager, which is how I got my title of CMO. I'm the chief, or CRO. I'm the chief relationships officer. But anyway, she's the only person that can do stratified and multi-level ownership accounts. She was on vacation till the 22nd, which was the deadline for getting the new operational account information to the old property management company's treasury or accounting department. So I had an appointment with her at 2. I had the account by 3:30. By 4 p.m., I had given all of the new account information to the guy over at the property management company. And that was just like, that was last week. And that was.
Yeah. Gosh, that's a whirlwind day.
And every day's been like that.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, we're glad to have you here. We'll provide whatever emotional support you need.
You know what? Just talking about it is really good. And I like sharing with people because like, none of my friends had ever been through that. They'd been through situations where they fired a property management company. They'd never been through a situation where basically the property management company fired us. Yeah. And then the company that's coming in to purchase them said that they would take us. And then I get an email maybe last Wednesday that said, oh yeah, we decided not to take you.
So frustrating.
Yeah.
So then, okay. So then I have to ask, I mean, how are they able to just renege on a contract like that? Like it's a contract that was, did you guys have some kind of a contract that was signed? And like, what does that look like on that side? Because I'm not familiar enough with that operations component to know what a contract like that would look like. I mean, is it something where they can just say, hey, 2 weeks notice, deuces, you know?
So it wasn't their choice.
Okay. They were bought out. You said they were bought out.
Well, they were forced to dissolve. The bank stepped in and said, we're taking back over. Because just like you get a loan to buy a property, you get a loan to buy a business.
Oh, interesting. Okay. I did not realize that that was that kind of situation. I've never heard of that before.
Yeah, well, because somebody had stepped in, like, I don't know, 4 or 5 years ago and bought part of that property management company to improve its back office operations.
Okay.
Oh, so ironic now.
Yeah. So what was the process like for vetting them? Because obviously they've got plenty of experience in the area, and they passed certain checks that you had.
So I spoke to a lot of friends, and a lot of my friends were like, don't use them in DFW, but in the tertiary markets and secondary markets, they're okay. It really depends on who your regional is. And our regional is really good. We like her. And so everything was really going okay. I mean, there was some backlog issue, like we weren't getting the reports that we needed to get on time, but it wasn't so bad that we weren't able to function.
Yeah.
And we knew there was a little bit of something going on. Because I want to say it was almost the entire accounting department turned over at one point. So, I mean, there was some stuff going on.
Yeah.
But I mean, we've only had the property, 6 months?
Yeah.
So we expected there to be some transition issues and just getting to know them and them getting to know us and us getting used to the processes and getting everything, getting in the groove.
Yeah.
And then the company that came in to help the back office stuff is the company that the bank was like, yeah, we're just taking everything over. So I guess just like they can repo a car, they can repo a business.
Yeah. Fascinating. So much to learn.
Wow, this is very educational thing.
Yeah, it's just been a whirlwind. It's been really hard, and it's been really hard.
But that shows you, I mean, like how much work it can take to like keep some of these operations together, at times. I mean, it's not, we talk about the risk in multifamily and in real estate in general. And the risk isn't necessarily in the property itself, it's in the operations. The property is going to be a property, but you want to have your operations run as smoothly as possible, and that way you're avoiding those, long vacancies and all that kind of stuff. And it's stuff like this that can hurt you in the short term. But, hopefully you're able to get this kind of resolved early on and then, continue on with your business plan. Have there been any, has there been any hiccups with actual like completing renovations and things like that? I mean, obviously, yeah. See, I kind of figured there'd be some trickle down here. So
it's just been,
because you already talked about the pool thing and last month, but
yeah. Well, and then the toilet in the laundry room was just broken. I was like, how do you break a toilet?
Like somebody took a sledgehammer to it, or
I don't actually know. It just
wasn't
working.
Okay.
And then if they finally fixed it, because I was like, if the pool is open and the bathroom is not, we don't need to give anyone any excuses to pee in the pool. We need to make sure they have a bathroom facility close by.
Yeah.
One was the closest one. And so it eventually got fixed.
Well, that's good.
And I think it may have gotten fixed before the pool was open or the week after. So pretty close, but there was just some delay on things. And then like the hoarder unit that the cleaning ladies on site wanted $1 a square foot. So it was gonna be like $850. And I was like, that's insane. And so I texted a few friends and they gave me some names and One of the guys came out and looked at it and he said, I'll do it for 3. I'm like, can you do it Can you do it tomorrow? Can we start Monday? When can we get you a dumpster? But like looking around, he would have made hundreds upon hundreds, maybe even thousands if he would have been able to resell everything. But there's a big rodent problem.
Yeah.
There were no roaches or bed bugs, which was a huge plus. But big rodent problem. Like the guy that lived across the breezeway there, about 38 mice.
Holy smokes. So what kind of, so then this brings me to the next question, exterminators, stuff like that. Like how much have you guys had to spend that, or how much did you plan to spend? And then how much have you had to spend on stuff like that? Was it something you had already budgeted for, or?
Well, I mean, you have a base amount you budget for because you've got to spray, you've got to do things. Like, I have no idea how much it's going to cost.
Yeah.
I have none whatsoever. And we weren't planning on a full gut, and this one's going to wind up being a full gut.
Yeah.
I mean, like replacing cabinets, replacing like the toilets, replacing the lighting fixtures, or just everything. The refrigerator was so bad, it just went into the dumpster.
Yeah.
He pulled the compressor to sell. But that was
At least it's only one unit though, right? You don't have any other units like that you're aware of, right?
God, I hope not.
Yeah.
I don't think so. I think that one's
good.
It was just a weird situation. Like, I guess she's been there since 07 and nobody's seen her in 5 years. She would drop off her checks in the drop box in the middle of the night. And nobody, like, she never called, nobody'd seen her.
Wow.
Is that like a red flag though?
I don't know. I mean, my grandparents had a small mobile home community trailer park, and they had a lady out there that was just super, super introverted. And she never really came out of her trailer much. And when my grandfather died, my grandmother had already passed, I went out there to talk to her, and she came out and talked to me because she remembered me from when I was really little. She'd been there for, I guess she'd been there for 20 years, 30 years. And so she came out and talked to me because she'd seen me grow up. And so she was similar to that. Like, you just didn't see her very much. And she wasn't a hoarder. So I don't know that someone coming in the middle of the night's a red flag. I mean, maybe they work nights and sleep all day and then bring the check by in the middle of the night. I mean, I don't know.
Okay, see, because in Maryland, we have a wellness check. So like, if you don't see somebody for a while, you can get a wellness check and they'll go and like check on them and just make sure everything's. That's why I was like, would you suggest that? Like if I haven't seen, or if the tenants are saying like they haven't seen somebody in a while, but it's still getting paid, like I would just be like skeptical. Like, is that person even living in there?
Well, like they were still going in, and they would do like the monthly, because I want to say they spray, is it monthly or bi-monthly or something? I mean, people were going in the unit.
Oh, okay.
But she just wasn't there. The rent was getting paid.
Right.
And she just wasn't ever there. And so it was just weird. I don't know.
A good learning experience.
Yeah.
Man, this whole thing has been a learning experience.
So I guess the question now is, Angel, are you still wanting to be in this business? Are you're still looking for deals, or you feel like you're about done?
Jason's just not allowed to go anywhere anymore.
Yeah.
He not somewhere so far off that I can't get internet or cell access.
So you laugh, but I travel for work, and it used to be every time we had this lemon of an ice machine that we eventually swapped out. But every time I got on a plane to go back to an assignment, bag failure. And my husband would have to drive 2 hours up to the mountain to fix it. He used to say, you're not allowed to get on a plane and leave, because every single time, sometimes I was at the airport, sometimes I was on the plane.
Yeah, for me, it's always when Jason has had to go somewhere far away. Because like, so when and no laughs on this one, but when he went to the Good Korea to go look at their labs there for Trantor, The garage ceiling collapsed. His dad was in ICU dying of cancer.
Oh.
And one other thing happened. And I'm like, what am I supposed to do? So I got the ceiling fixed.
Yeah.
We, like, as soon as he flew back in, we went to go see his dad in Waco, but it was like everything was going wrong. If it could go wrong, it was going wrong. And it was the same way this time. So
yeah, not allowed to travel.
Side note, I want to let everybody know, like, throw your info into the chat, and that way other people can reach out to you, network, all that kind of good stuff. People that have questions, they can find out more information about you. And then those 3 little dots at the bottom right corner of that chat, you click on that, and that will allow you to save this chat, at the end of the meeting before we finish out. But just wanted to put that on everybody's radar for people who are new and would like to connect with people. So cool. Yeah.
No, we're still looking for properties. If anything, it's made me a little more ballsy.
Really? Because you're like, if I can deal with this, I can. They can't all be like that, like it's.
So a lot of people were trying to help me. Like the guy that does the electric and gas contracts for apartments. I called him up, and we're pretty good friends. But I called him up, and I was just like, I'm about to lose my mind here. And he's like, okay, this is what you're gonna do. You're gonna give me your login information for the electric and the gas, and my team's gonna take care of that for you. And so he took that off my plate.
Okay.
And then, yeah, there was nothing else that really anybody could do other than on Friday at the bank, like Gail and Frank are on speakerphone and we're all in like this conference call so we can get this account created, because like had to actually like create a whole nother operational account. And
yeah.
Yeah.
Fun times.
Yeah. But my friend Brandis today, she was like, Angel, get out of the house. I'm like, I can't. She's like, yes, we're going to go out to eat. I'm like, no, I really can't. I was like, I'm like grimy. She's like, get in the freaking shower and you're going to meet me at 1 p.m. at blah, blah, blah restaurant. Because, I mean, we've been friends for a long time. We were friends. We taught together at Kirby Middle School. And so she just knows. She's like, if you don't get out of the house, you're not going to get out of the house.
Yeah.
And get out of the house. That's fine. So, yeah. And so then as we're sitting there, like Nair is just like sending me screenshot. I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to have to go. I'm going to have to go take care of this.
Yeah.
So. Yeah.
Well, I wanted to say, Jeff, do you have any questions about anything going on? I know we're talking a lot here, and you said you were kind of new to stuff, so I didn't know if you had any questions that we could answer in the next few minutes before.
No, I don't really know enough yet to have any useful questions. It's interesting hearing everybody's stories at this point.
Yeah. Okay. No, that's fair. I was the same way too when I kind of first started going to these meetups. You end up doing a lot of listening for a while and just kind of getting your bearings a little bit. So
yeah, that's where I am right now.
Absolutely.
Don't be afraid of the horror stories. Like if everybody could do it, then everybody'd be doing it.
Yeah.
And the payout is pretty awesome.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's good.
And it's not stressful all the time.
No. And actually, I mean, if you're a passive investor, I mean, it's rarely stressful. I mean, the biggest stress that I have is, waiting for my K1s to come every year. That's about it. Because the last 2 years, they've just been, for some reason, ungodly late. Like I'm still waiting on one right now, from a 1031 exchange and all kinds of, but.
Yeah. So from that team that I said I will never do another deal with, we got our K1s 3 days ago.
Well, there you go.
It was a 1.1x.
Ooh, that's not great.
Nope.
Not great at all. Over how many years? Was it 5 years? Please tell me it wasn't 5.
It was like 20 months.
Okay. Well, at least you got your money back.
We did get our money back. We didn't get any distributions at all.
Man.
Ever. And there was a cap call.
Yep. Well, that's the thing. You want to make sure your projects are well capitalized. And
I need to ask, are there any podcasts that I should listen to?
For like multifamily specifically?
For real, yeah, like for this. I like listening to them.
Okay. Well, I mean, for real estate in general, Bigger Pockets is one of the best out there. But they don't focus solely on multifamily or anything like that. Let's see. The Michael Blanc podcast is good. Jake and Gino.
Joe Fairless has the longest daily running podcast.
He does. Yeah. Joe Fairless is a good one. And they all, like they interview operators and things. They do horror stories. I mean, gosh, the lists go on and on. You type in multifamily or apartment investing or anything into these podcasts, players, and you're going to find just tons of podcasts to listen to.
Oh yeah, but some are better than others.
Oh, sure. Yeah. And I mean, those are some of the big ones, but there are some of the ones that, are not as big in their scope. Sometimes those are a little bit better. They can have, a little bit of a niche, thing to it. Yeah, I think you're right about that, Angel. And I was on the Best Ever podcast, actually.
Wow.
That was cool. I didn't talk with Joe Fairless, but
who'd you talk to? Ash or Slocum?
Ash.
Ash is pretty funny.
Yeah. So
they're both good guys, though.
Yeah. I mean, it seems like they got a good thing going on there. But yeah. So, but yeah, let's see.
What's your podcast, Angel? You're fancy up here. Hold on.
I have it in there somewhere.
In your thing here. Okay, hold on. Let's see. The Academy Presents podcast.
Yeah, I think it is the Academy. And it has like a blue sky and a yellow sun and some clouds.
Okay.
Yeah, James Sirman told me Angel has the best podcast.
Oh.
You know Jimmy? I love Jimmy.
Well, I met him on LinkedIn and he was like, you got to connect with Angel. She's like the best. I was like, okay.
The last time I was in Austin, we met up for breakfast at Magnolia. So
nice.
No, he's a really good guy.
It's awesome. I mean, I can't wait to go to a conference and actually meet everybody in person. Like that's one of the things I look forward to doing, hopefully within the next year, is actually making it to one of these. And because you see everybody on Zoom all the time, but it's nice to actually be able to get together in person. So
yeah. So my suggestion on like going to an in-person event is like, what I did was I went through the attendee list, and I made like a checklist in OneNote, because that's what I have on my phone. But I literally had a checklist of people. I don't know if you can see it. You can't. Maybe. Nope. Anyway, so I made a checklist of people with little boxes so that as I met people, I could check off that I had met them. And so I had about, 150 people on this list. And it was a lot of it was people I already knew, but then people that I wanted to meet while I was there. And by having in a checklist, I was able to make sure that I got to people. And then people would laugh. They'd be like, "Am I on your list?"
Yeah.
Am I on your list?
You weren't at Best Ever.
I am where?
You weren't at the Best Ever.
Yeah, that was at the Best Ever conference. You just went to Chicago though, right, Kevin?
Yeah, I did. But I think we need to host one in Trinidad, so Angel has to fly.
Oh no, that'd be fun.
I don't want to fly. Can I take take a boat? Can I swim? Actually, I don't like boats either. I think drowning is probably the worst way to die.
That sounds terrible.
I mean, on a plane, pretty much when you hit, you're gone. But if you make it through the fall, once it finally crashes, you've got like the 60 seconds. You got the golden minute to get off the plane before the fumes of the burning plane kill you.
That doesn't sound great.
But you drive.
Yeah, I'll drive. I'll drive really long distances. I'm fine with that. But I don't think there's a bridge to Trinidad.
All right.
I think you need an ice machine in Trinidad.
No bridges. No bridges.
You need an ice machine. It's hot there.
Yeah, we have ice machines, but I can take yours. Yeah, no problem.
Yeah, you need an ice machine.
I'll run the whole thing for you.
Now you've got like remote managers. You can
that can work.
That could work.
And then
They put one in South Africa that could work.
Mm-hmm.
But we also have beaches, so I'm not sure how much the ice will help. So we will go and take a dip in the ocean if it's too hot. So.
Yeah, but you gotta have something for those snow cone machines, man.
Yeah, and what about those beers?
Gotta keep them cold.
Gotta keep them cold.
All right. Well, hey, on that note, it is 9:02. I want to make sure everybody, if you're going to save the chat, click on those three dots real quick before we go. Courtney, I did send you a few podcasts there, so make sure you get those. Otherwise, I'll just resend them to you. Huh? You don't have three dots? Oh, maybe it's because you're on the iPad. I don't know. So if you go, you got it?
I got it.
Okay, good deal.
I'm gonna go old school.
So, but
screen saving.
Yes.
Oh, there you go. Yeah. Screenshot.
Yeah, I wonder if the iPad setup is like it is on the phone. Because if it's like it is on the phone, you can't save the chat.
Yeah, I was thinking about that too, because I've never been able to save it on the phone either. But all right, well, thank you everybody for coming out. Pleasure talking with y'all. And yeah, man, we'll see y'all again.
Okay.
Yep.
Okay.
Have a good night.
See you.
Thank you so much for joining me for another episode of the Plan B CRNA podcast. If you haven't already subscribed and reviewed the show, I'd be honored if you took the extra time. It really helps to expand our reach and get the word out about the show. If you're a CRNA who is interested in sharing your story on our podcast, I'd love to have you. Please email me at bobby@oncallinvestments.com for more information. This episode was brought to you by On-Call Capital. They are dedicated to helping providers like you develop passive income and generational wealth through investments in the apartment and alternative investment spaces. Feel free to check out their website at www.oncallinvestments.com and subscribe to their free educational email series. You can find On-Call Capital on Facebook, Instagram, and Twitter. You can also check out our YouTube page, where you'll find all of the show episodes along with other educational videos. Thanks for listening, and we'll see you on the next episode.